Today's episode is brought to you by AXPONA 2019. America's premier high-fidelity audio show takes place April 12th, 13th, and 14th at the Renaissance Schaumburg Hotel and Convention Center near Chicago, Illinois. Plan a trip to the Windy City this spring and sample over 190 listening rooms of high-end audio equipment, and explore the latest in headphone hi-fi in AXPONA's Ear Gear Expo. Tickets are available now at AXPONAdotCom. That's www.AXPONA.com. So, this is the final episode of the regular Season 2 of the Occasional Podcast, with the exception of our AXPONA coverage episode, which we will be graced with the presence of the mighty and wonderful Scott Hull.
Nice. Loving Scott.
Yeah. So, this episode has Dave and Carol Clark returns from positive feedback. The magazine and the online presence, they were lovely enough to join us again, and we had a really good reception the first time we had them on. They're a lovely couple. So anyways, it's a really great interview, but we have a lot of stuff to get through before we get to that.
What do we got to talk about, Hunter?
The Occasional magazine comes out very, very soon. We're looking at around April 10th. The Occasional, that's our written publication. Mark Phillips is the managing editor. He's been doing a great job. I worked with him. I actually submitted my piece. Guess what it was on?
Oh my gosh. Is it on unicorns? Is it on My Little Pony conventions?
Bronies.
Bronies. That's a throwback to an older podcast.
Yeah, that's way back there. No, actually, it was on Raw Denim.
Oh my God, that's your favorite thing. That's the only... People don't know that you live about a half an hour away from me, but near my house is like all the hot denim shops. Am I saying this right? The little boutique denim shops.
I don't know.
And it's the only way I get you to come down and hang out with me is you're like, I'm shopping for denim today. You want to grab lunch? I'm like, yes.
You're not going to believe this, but I actually found a guy who runs a blog, like all the audio blogs
Does
that are
not
out there,
surprise me.
called thedenimhound.com.
I love it.
He does the exact same thing. He has a pile of denim, he said, stacked to the roof because they sent it in for review. And he's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm running out of space. And it's just all over.
So you went to his house and took some of them?
No.
How much are the jeans you're wearing right now?
Well, you can read the article. If you really want to know,
okay.
The article outlines everything you want to know
And that's
about
April
raw
10th?
denim. Yeah, April 10th.
All right.
And
now, a guy who buys his jeans at the Gap like me, will I still appreciate this article?
I mean, it's about artisanal quality. The artisanal quality. It's like taking something and trying to make it the best version of itself.
I love it. Okay, of my Costco jeans.
Yeah. So it's like they get crazy about the threads, the cotton, the weaves. It's not about the fades because actually you put the fades in yourself.
Oh.
So what I said this in my article, but the jeans you're wearing, those pre-made fades they're in there, they're lies, bees. They're
I love lies. I love my Costco jean lies.
Also, let's not forget about our live stream.
Booyah. I love some live stream. Sorry. I get excited. That's actually my favorite thing that we do, even though I won't be there to do it.
I know. I'm sorry, but Bees cannot make it to the show. And
I'm going to be in New York City.
It'll actually be the Occasional magazine editorial staff.
All right. Step it up. You don't need
Mark Phillips will be there.
Okay. Who else?
Eric Shook will be there.
Oh, I like it.
Some of my favorite people. And we'll be doing a little live stream April 13th at 2 o'clock. That's Chicago time, and you can find that live stream if you want to tune in right on the Part-Time Audiophile main page.
Nice.
So we'll just be streaming to the Facebook page for Part-Time Audiophile.
And if you're there, you should come by, right?
Swing by. We might have Bez stop by, who stopped by last time.
Yep,
He's a really good
Bez.
time. All kinds of really fun times.
Tell everybody I miss them, and I'm sorry that I'll
I will.
be in
And the funny thing I thought about last
City.
time was that while I was sitting there doing it, there was in one of the main conference rooms, there was like a dance thing or something or other going
amazing. Yes.
And just like out of the corner of my eye as I'm talking, I see a little girl doing a continual cartwheel roll by.
Down the hallway. I remember that vividly.
And I was like, am I fucked up right now?
I mean, between the prom queen dancing and the brony convention that was next door, it was quite an exciting time to be live. Too bad it was 3 degrees outside.
It was very chilly. I did want to thank...
Was that last year's? That was last year's,
That
right?
was last year, just 1 year ago.
Wow.
Pretty close, 2 weeks out.
Well, tell my brony brothers I say hi to at the bar.
I'll high five them all. We'll hit unicorn
Horns.
We'll hit horns.
What else we got?
On the news, do the ticker sound.
Occasional news. And just remember, it's like the MTV. It was
Yes.
it was a typewriter.
Do.
Kurt Cobain is dead. Thank you, Kurt Loder.
God, now you're really hitting my
Really
heart. I
dating
remember that
myself.
stuff.
Of
No,
course, that was
man.
our John Lennon.
So in
The news.
we got some press releases. Everybody's kind of priming the pump for Expona. And SVS sent me something. The Prime Pinnacle Tower speaker sits just underneath their flagship Ultra Series. Offers trickle-down tech, $1,600 a pair. Nice little floor stand from SVS. They make some really killer subs as well. That'll be at the show. Something to look forward to. We talked to Shit Audio a little bit last time. I mentioned their AEGIR. How do you think you say that, Bees? Because I have no idea.
AEGIR. IGAR.
Aegir?
Aegir.
I'm going to go with Aegir. It sounds
perfect.
more French.
You bet. Aegir.
They have a power amp. That guy is $800. Also very similar to their Vidar, which was $700. It's a Class A B, but this guy is a little bit different than the Vidar in
How
that
so?
it is Class AB to 10 watts, and then it goes into a mode called continuity. So Jason has said this is his continuity power that makes it sound a little bit better after that initial 10 watts of Class A. He actually wrote in the press release, and I wanted to read this because I think it's kind of funny. Jason actually writes a lot of the copy for his company, and he's a funny writer. Yeah, so I just want to read this part of what he wrote. He said, this amp is either, and this is straight from the press release, quote, a lower power, higher cost version of Vidar, displaying shit's unquestionable engineering decrepitude. Decrepitude?
Good word.
That's a good word. That's like a $5 word. I don't have to put that one in my bank. Use it 3 times. Or B, a really interesting way to get around the problem of transconductance droop and also address the N and P mismatch problem. Mismatch problem, I said. Not mishmash, he wrote. So anyways, we should be getting a review sample in, I think. Don't quote me on that. I just read the quote. I don't have any quote from him on that.
Droop.
So it's coming out, and it's shipping, I think, this week. It's on the site. It's up and ready to ship. So if you're interested
Go get it.
Can go be stereo or mono blocks if you want to drop a little bit more coin on it. It's out there. And there is quite a bit of buzz for it. So check that out. Also,
What else we got?
might not be live by the time this hits airwaves. However, if things go well, maybe there'll be some inventory left. Zoo Audio Dirty Weekend for the Omen. I actually own a pair of Omens.
Okay.
They're very old now, but they're a great quality speaker. And this guy, you get into it for $1,000. So those looking, this is one of those like budget kind of steals.
Yeah, very, very reasonable.
That's $1,000 for 2 speakers. And the Dirty Weekend starts April 2 and goes until they run out of stock. So something to check out. Great fun from Zoo Audio. Then also Audio Engine, who it's more of a budget kind of play. They're releasing 2 wireless products. The 512 portable speaker for $169.
What?
And then the A2 Plus wireless system for $269. The A2 Plus is like more of their traditional look, if you're familiar with them, like the computer speakers that sit on either side, like a monitoring system.
Yep.
I always love their look. The portable speaker is actually more like a Bluetooth kind of shape. So like a portable Bluetooth speaker look. Fun stuff from Audio Engine. And then we have a new product from Macintosh. Bees, what do you think it is?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm excited though. You know I love Macintosh.
And
I love the look. What is it?
And
Turntable?
it's not it's not an all-in-one turntable. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Boo, feedback, boo.
That thing looked awesome though.
I love
For
it.
all the naysayers, I was like,
I'm the only
dude,
one. I'm the only one who
like,
loved it.
Look, I get it. It's not separate.
Send it to bees.
But it looks
Send it to
awesome.
me.
If price wasn't an object, like if you were just swimming like Scrooge McDuck in the coins,
Yeah, in the coins.
I would like to come out of the coins and see that turntable just hanging out.
It's like, hey, okay.
They have like a tube just sitting on the platter. It's pretty fun. Anyways, it's not that. It is the MPC 500 power controller, 2,500, ships in April.
All right.
You plug it in.
Just put one of those other turntables in that box and send it on over. Thanks, Macintosh.
So I don't know if you're aware, but Jeff Goldblum has a tendency to just pop up in different places at different times.
He does.
And so he actually has a band, and he's pretty cordial. You can like go and see him play, and I've seen people like photos online of people who just hang out with him after the show. I think it's awesome. I ran into him once at the Chateau Montmartre.
Oh yeah,
he had a giant the monkey and the man in the yellow hat. He had like a white version of that. It was huge. He looked so dapper.
It was like and at the Chateau, it was literally like he was on the set of a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's kind of like Bill Murray light. Bill Murray's known for like, oh my God, Bill Murray just showed up to our kickball league. And Jeff Goldblum kind of has that same, he's not as funny, but he's just as charming. You'll never believe this, but last weekend I come out onto my porch and there's Jeff Goldblum playing with my daughter in my backyard, just the two of them. So our neighbor who lives literally just on the other side of the shrubs, they had a birthday party, and lo and behold, there's Jeff Goldblum and his two kids playing in the bouncy house. And my daughter and his son, Charlie, became quick friends. And when we left the party, we actually kind of just walked through the shrubbery, and Charlie followed us on over there, and so did Jeff Goldblum. And so they were kind of playing in our backyard. And I was like, hey, Jeff, because we were on first names at that point. I was like, can you watch my eldest daughter, Layla, while I go put the youngest one to sleep? And he was like, sure, no problem. So went upstairs, put Hazel to sleep. And when I came back out, Charlie had gone back to the party. And there's Jeff Goldblum, looking very dapper, by the way, standing in the middle of my yard. And my daughter is just scooting on her scooter, like circling him like a wagon train. And he was cracking her up. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but he was giving his best Goldblum isms, and my daughter was dying laughing. And then I was like, hey, Mr. Goldblum, watch my daughter while I go watch NCAA basketball. That's not true. I was like, I'm so sorry that you got stuck here with my daughter who won't stop yipping yapping. And then he went back through the shrubberies.
It's like your own personal field of dreams out there.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was my own personal James Earl Jones, and he disappeared into my corn. Never, and I haven't seen him since. Quite honestly, have not. He may have vanished. We don't know. Has anyone seen Jeff Goldblum in the last 10 days? I don't know.
On with the show. Here we go. Dave and Carol Clark. This time with more Carol. Bees.
Kick it.
Everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining the occasional podcast. Two of my favorite people in the hobby, and I say that every time to everybody, but I really mean it this time.
Yeah, right.
Dave and Carol Clark. How are you guys? How's the drive up?
Oh, it's a beautiful day today.
We finally hit some 70-degree weather here.
Yeah, it's like spring.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys are aware, and this may date us in the timeline of this recording, but there's a crazy like monarch butterfly breakout. Yeah, the cousin of the monarch, apparently.
Painted lady.
The painted lady.
Yeah.
And it's been, I don't know, you in the studio you'll be able to see here. They just fly by like all day, so it's been kind of weird. It makes me nervous, like big changes in the environment. A little scary right now, but we won't get into politics. We reserve that for Dave's Facebook feed.
Yeah. I just share. I don't comment.
You're very good Facebooker at that.
I just share.
So, Dave, positive feedback. You guys still involved, right?
Yes, we're still co-owners, Carol and I, with David and Lila. And our title has shifted to
managing editors.
How's that treating you? Because for those who don't know, I mean, this may be private, but you guys are in retirement now.
Yes.
So
2.5 years now.
All insurance salesmen stay away from the front door.
We have all we need.
Okay, so you guys are into 2 years in, and things are going swell. Are you getting more involved in the magazine, less involved?
No, the magazine, it's all the same. Nothing's changed with it. We're still doing a lot of the back end and, editing and posting stuff and,
Did you guys go to a new show this year for you, I think? Did you go to Expona for the first time?
Yeah.
Last year, AXPONA for the first time, and this year we'll be going again.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
It's a big show.
It's giant.
It's like going back kind of CS.
Yeah.
You know, the number of rooms and stuff.
Back in the day, right? 'Cause
Back in
for
the
those
day.
who don't know,
Yeah.
I went this year, and it
Yes.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Roll the ball down the hallway. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the 90s when we used to go.
You know, it's a nice hotel. I think that they need a bigger bar. We went to last June.
The California Audio Show.
Yeah.
But we had been to that the first couple of years that it was in existence.
So this year it's just going to be
AXPONA,
and
the show.
the show, which is going to be in Long Beach this year.
Oh, he brought it down to
The
you guys?
home
Yeah.
entertainment.
He wants you guys to come. So he's like,
It's like
he knows he goes to you.
it's nice for us because it's like, oh yeah, we go down there all the time where the hotel is. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of the restaurants.
Truth be
and
told,
stuff.
last year I believe it was just you and me. At
Pretty
the
much.
show.
Yeah.
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 Good show though. I mean, I had a good time, and when I felt like the belle of the ball because it was just two people. It's like, oh, you get special attention paid.
Right,
You-
right,
Right.
Well, they kind of ignored us, but yeah.
They did. Ignore us.
Yeah. At least I didn't get booted from John Atkinson's seat in every room I went to. That's a game I used to play.
Right,
Not anymore,
right, right.
but I was always like, he was so nice about it. And he was like so embarrassed because it was never him, right? It's this very excited vendor to have JA come down the hallway. And
Right.
it's like, get out of his seat now, would you? And I'd be like,
I was warming it for him.
yeah. I was
So it
just
would
like,
sound better.
I'm his official seat warmer. It's like the guy who eats the food before the king comes,
Yeah.
and so you don't die.
Hey, we love John. John's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy. Polite. He's always so polite.
Yeah.
For a guy who doesn't necessarily, need to be at a show. He could be whoever he wants to be and still be able to do his job function.
True. Yeah. Like some guys.
Like some people in our industry, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he obviously, for those who don't know, he had a position change. He'll still be doing the measurements at Stereophile,
Right, yeah.
But he is no longer the man. I
The
think you realize that, yeah.
Editor in chief.
Another JA actually took the helm.
Jim Austin.
Jim
right?
Austin.
Jim, thank you,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
Jim Austin.
Well, I guess John's probably thinking, it's time for a change, and I've been doing this long enough. I don't know.
He has been doing it for
Yeah.
probably
like
before I was born.
40 years or something, I thought.
I've only been doing this for 7, and it feels like a long time. I can't imagine 40.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been doing it for?
Oh,
25.
God. 25?
Yeah. And I know that because the LAOC Audio Society, which we founded 25 years ago, just celebrated 25 years.
Right, yeah. So they had their, is it silver? Silver anniversary?
I think so, yeah.
Big gala, silver anniversary.
How do you
sit
guys
down.
think it's kind of changed since back in
Oh.
the day? Or is it the same? Because honestly, a lot of people look like they've been doing it for 25 years old.
I think it's obviously much larger. Bob's done a great job as far as promoting it and organizing things. So, and putting it on the map in a greater way than we did.
Not just the LA Audio Society, but
Audio
when
in general.
When you walk through the halls at any show, do you see some of the same faces?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Now, do you see mostly the same faces?
Well, there's new people. I mean, every year there's someone new, but we do see people that we're used to seeing.
You mean the same exhibitors or the same?
I'm sorry, I meant the
same
attendees.
Okay. I mean, obviously, we see a lot of the same exhibitors, and we see a lot of the same attendees. And truth is, after all these years, for us, a lot of it's just going there to see these people because they're friends.
Yeah.
And
That's nice.
this might
Yeah.
be the only time we get to see them. It's like, oh, man, haven't seen you in a year. Yeah. So we just have a lot of good friends in the industry now. And part of this for us is going there to see these people. Even you.
Yeah. I make it around. I do the rounds quite a bit. I like the shows. I like the vibe. I like anybody who kind of cuddles around something that brings happiness to their life.
Right.
As long as it's not too, there's both sides. There's obviously some anger and some happiness mixed in there, but we get by.
Well,
I think we get by.
it's life.
Yeah. We're going deep there, right
Yeah.
off the top of the bat. It's like,
Yeah, let me talk to you about life.
tell me about life. You're like a sage with a long goatee.
Yeah. Oh, it's going. Yeah, I'm going back to the other.
Are you gonna grow it out again?
Yeah.
Such controversy that thing has caused.
I know.
Broken the hearts of so many people.
I know. Especially when someone said, someone should tell Dave about that goatee. It's just not working.
I
don't even know who that was.
It's working, Dave.
It was a reader commented on a picture and made this comment, and I posted it. I'm like, fine, I don't care, But it's just like, yeah, David doesn't have any friends. His friends would tell him, like, yeah. Okay.
Well, I can actually relate to this because, God, heaven forbid, I even bring this up, but I don't remember if you guys remember, but I had that little top knot thing.
Yeah.
For like 1 year, one cycle of shows, and the animosity towards that haircut. There were like memes running around saying this is the most ridiculous haircut. People were coming up to me. People were coming online, and I kind of thought it was funny. I don't mind like looking different for fun for a short period of time. I didn't have any interviews or anything like that, and I work for myself. No one even sees me. I'm a writer, and so I was shocked. I totally can understand. I was shocked at the craziness around the whole idea.
All right, so we're gonna find a clip-on for you, to wear.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
and just.
But it's going to be not just I want it to be like a real samurai one, like a big.
Yeah, but we're going to get a different color, like stripes or something.
Apparently you can buy them.
Yeah.
I'm not into women's hair things, but I've seen just
An
a
extension,
ponytail
right?
thing you can buy or something.
Yeah, Carol?
Yes, back in the day, they used to call that a wiglet. My mom had a wiglet. She used to set it, and everything could dye it the same color as her hair. And
apparently they're very expensive. Like human hair is very expensive. Those have to be fake because
When's
so
your
long,
birthday,
right?
Brian?
August 1st, dude. I'll be
There
waiting.
you go. All right.
Send it on over.
Okay.
We'll call it Dave's treat. You
Wait,
can
are
pick
you
whatever
going
it
to
is.
be? You're going to be at Expona?
Yeah, I'll be at Expo.
We'll bring it for Expona.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I have no problem. You can even pick the day. Friday,
have
Saturday, Sunday. You pick.
We'll have a special event.
A get together. Can we have a get together? Brian's hair day.
Yeah.
Dave's choice. I like it. Has a good ring. Dave's choice. What color hair you want, Brian?
Yeah.
So I guess where I was kind of going with that originally was, there was this time period, at least in my mind, where high-end audio was like a really big thing in society. Like more people, it was like at least a little bit cool to have a hi-fi with tubes and vinyl spinning because it was one of the few things you could do, right? You come over, you didn't really, before TV.
Right.
This is a while ago, right?
Yeah.
You come over and listen to the hi-fi. Then things happened. TV happened. But then in audio, multi-channel audio surround sound started to dominate. That was when I was in college, right? So all of a sudden, you didn't go into someone's dorm room and have a hi-fi. They had I got 5 speakers. It was a big deal. I felt like that diminished at least a little bit. Now we see in audio, people of a certain age here, and then the new ones. But do you guys feel like there's a slight valley in the age groups that we see?
Well, you obviously see a lot of older people like us. I'm 63. Carol's 60. And then you see people even older. I would agree. I mean, I remember back when I 17, I think, and I'd go over to this guy's house who had like an all AR system, AR electronics and speakers and stuff, and just obviously spinning vinyl because that's all you had. And I'd take over like King Crimson and stuff like that, and we would get like light up some really good pot and just sit there and get baked and just play the stuff at ear-splitting levels. And it was so cool because you could go do that. And today, I think the issue is stuff just costs a lot,
Really?
which creates different, it's like the haves and the have-nots. And I, applaud the people who are trying to make less expensive stuff. I think vintage is still a great way to go, but still, the affordable stuff is still not cheap.
So are you saying that generally speaking, back then, everything was a little less
I think
less
back
expensive?
then, cost of living and what stuff cost didn't make it like, gee, can we afford to buy these pairs of speakers now?
Well, certainly they had $10,000 speakers back then.
Back in the 70s?
Yeah.
I think you could go out and buy a pretty good system for under $1,000. But then $1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Considering you could buy a car for that.
Yeah.
So, today, I just look at what the cost of some stuff is, and it's astronomical.
Yeah. Well,
Which I think that affects the age group because people coming into it out of college, sad reality is people graduating college today aren't finding those jobs that are paying $60, $70, $80,000. They're finding jobs that pay 30, 40. And it's taken a long time. Our son's an example, which makes it like you still enjoy music. You want this stuff, but it's like, I can't buy that. I can't afford that. So I think when you have that, you start to see this change, or not change, you start to see the age groups. The people who can afford it, the people who have really good jobs and can't afford it, the people who are older, who are established and can't afford it. And then you're starting to see the younger coming in, the younger generations, for me, in the 20s and 30s, who are getting jobs and getting employment and can afford more entry level.
Yeah, it's almost like the market has adjusted to the consumer. As that consumer got older and had more disposable income, they found they could charge, or at least make, more and more expensive kind of loudspeakers and such.
And whatever. $5,000 power cords. Everybody needs one of those. At least one.
I will say that some of those power cords, they're not very pliable, malleable. They don't.
No, they're not.
They don't
and
move very well.
and this is I mean, I don't know where you're going with the questions, but it made me think of when people say, I don't understand why that guy charges $10,000 for this USB cable or whatever, and I look at it well, break it down. If it takes him a week to make this by hand, and he wants to make X amount of dollars per hour, which is not unreasonable. You set your own, what do you want to make, $50, $100 an hour. And it takes so many hours and so much material. And then you factor in advertising, marketing, going to shows, electricity, overheads, and wanting to make a profit, and then selling it off, passing on to a dealer who has to make a profit. It's easy to start to see why some things cost what they cost. How many of these you're going to make, how many you're going to sell. And so when any time someone comes out and says, that's insane, he's ripping you off because he's making this, and I can go home and make it for, $50. I'm like, go ahead. Go home, make it for $50. And you've got a $50 cord and you're happy. But if you want to go into business, you're not going to be selling it for $50. You're going to be selling it for, $4,000 or $1,000. It's going to cost a lot more money than that $50.
Yeah, I think the overarching answer from most people that I've interviewed in terms of why do audiophile components cost so much is economies of scale.
Right.
When it's a small scale, there's a lot more cost and it drives up because this is niche market. They're not selling 1 million of these things. They're only selling X amount. Even the bigger numbers are still small numbers overall. And so things have to cost more because there's less produced and there's higher costs in tooling, initial startups, and these type of things.
Right.
Well, the one question I've been trying to drill down into is, how does the expense of casework play into that equation? Is it big or is it small? Because some of the casework's pretty darn elaborate.
Yeah, some is. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're just buying a folded sheet metal box that's painted black, some guy's cranking those out at a factory, and it's not that expensive. I think if you go to someone who's making something extremely elaborate and exotic, he's going out and it's like, I can afford to make 50 of these because the caseworks cost a lot of money. And the guy who's making them has to tool it and can only make so many, and it's going to take so many months. And all that factors into the cost of what's really is this selling for.
I think you're absolutely right. So the guys who make less expensive products, they're like, and the guys who make really expensive products are like,
Yeah.
So some people like to address online why there aren't as many females in this hobby. And for me, it's not a question I ask myself quite often because I've been involved with a lot of hobbies that don't involve a lot of females, and it just seems like, we tend to like different things. But, there's been some conversation online about this particular subject. I just wanted to kind of get your vantage point as into what you think about that.
One of the ways I look at it is that I've always been into audio. So I've always thought of myself, well, in the beginning, I didn't have a title. It was just, no, music is really important to me. Not necessarily the equipment that reproduces it, but the sound, the music itself. And so now that people are bringing to the forefront that there are not as many women, I think, well, okay, but I've always been, quote, an audiophile. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, why aren't more women involved in it? It's like you said, for a short time, our son was really involved in model trains, and he just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And every time we went to a model train show, I was the only woman.
Is it possible that they don't have the longevity because the conversation in the society that gathers around the hobby pushes them out?
I think so. I think that has a lot to do with it.
And not in a horribly aggressive way, but just that they look at it and be like, these aren't people like me, therefore I'm going to choose to spend my time doing something else.
Right, because, if I'm, like back when we had the Audio Society and we would have meetings and everyone was sitting around talking about the equipment in very technical terms, and when I first started reviewing equipment, I had something called the smell the sweat test, meaning that if I sat there and listened to equipment and I could smell the sweat of the performers, then it was good. It was like being in the club with them or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the technical language. And there was a time when I used to feel excluded because I couldn't talk that way. But now it's like, whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't have that technical language either.
Yeah,
and
true.
I don't think it's an issue of male and female having that technical language. It's people who want to have it and don't really care about it. So the guys who really have that probably care about it, and so they develop this technical language. Carol and I, kind of like, yeah, I can kind of talk some of it, but to me, talking about audio, it's like talking about food. I'd rather eat,
I thought when you said the smell test, the sweat smell test, that you're going to say if a system's really good, you can smell the sweat off all the other listeners. Because some of the rooms get a little ripe sometimes.
That's true, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true, but
then you don't even have to have the music playing.
That's true.
You still have
just walk in.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
But that's a stereotype, too.
That is a stereotype.
Yeah.
It is a stereotype. But, and one that exists across all.
Well, like any stereotype, you're always going to find someone that fits it. And that's sad reality. There's always going to be like, yeah, you're the stereotypical, whatever.
And the problem with stereotypes, obviously, is that if you take the fringes of a group and you put it to the middle and say everyone's like that, that's the issue.
That's the issue.
If you take someone, that's one of the rarities, and say everyone is like that, that's the problem, and that is across every stereotype. Right. Just want to be clear about that, guys. One of the other things, Carol, that I'm really massively interested in is that we've had some great conversations about your taste in music. And obviously, if I ask you what kind of music do you like, the normal knee-jerk response that everybody says is, I like everything equally because they don't want to see me. But there are some things about the preferences that you've chosen over your lifetime that intrinsically are so fascinating to me because they deviate from what most people that I knew growing up did. You had heard online that you had heard the Buzzcocks on the radio, and I just wanted to give you the definitions from the Wiki page for the Buzzcocks. The Buzzcocks are an English punk rock band formed in Bolton, England in 1976 by singer-songwriter guitarist Pete Shelley and singer-songwriter Howard Devato. Mm-hmm. They are regarded as a seminal influence on the Manchester music scene, independent record label movement, punk rock, power pop, and pop punk, all of which I've never heard of except for punk rock. Pop punk sounds almost like an oxymoron to me, but they achieved commercial success with singles that fused pop craftsmanship with rapid-fire punk energy. These singles are collected on Singles Going Steady, described by critic Ned Raggett as a punk masterpiece. What is your relationship to the Buzzcocks, and kind of just can you just take me through like what it was like listening to that music during that time period?
Well, I'm not going to recount this entire story, but famously one night in this probably 78, I was lying in bed thinking, oh man, my life is terrible. Oh, I hate everything. Oh. So I got up and I turned on the radio and I heard The Cure, 10:15 Saturday night. And that changed my whole outlook on music. Because prior to that, I liked Steely Dan and Dire Straits and Chicago and, Van Halen, all those Aerosmith, all the bands that everybody else liked. So once I discovered The Cure, then I started going to record stores looking for music like that. And back in those days, you could hear that music on the radio. So one time I went into Music Plus in Hermosa Beach, California, and they had and also back in those days, you did buy a lot of singles. Okay, so they had a rack of singles, and I flipped through it, and they had Everybody's Happy Nowadays, which is a Buzzcocks song. And I said, oh my God, I have to have this. Because I had heard the Buzzcocks before. I thought, oh my God, I really want this. So I went to buy it. And the two clerks behind the counter, one of them said, wait a minute, why was that in there? I thought, and they named off one of the other employees. I thought they had it on hold. And the other one said, well, I don't know, it was in there. So I had a moment of, well, maybe I should just leave it here for the person that had it on hold. But no, I really want it. So I got it. And I still have that single, and I love it. And I remember singles going steady. But the other day when I heard it, and it wasn't on the radio, it was on my iPod. It reminded me of those days when all those labels you just mentioned, power punk and pop, whatever, I don't know. I don't remember them having those labels back then. Yeah. But those were the songs that meant so much to me. And the Buzzcocks is not necessarily one of my favorite bands. Like, I really liked Gang of Four, and last week I heard a Gang of Four song on the iPod, and I was singing along with it with inflection in my voice, and and that's the music that really moves me. One day, a month ago or so, Dave was just listening to music randomly, and he played Wire. Map reference, I can't remember the whole
154.
title. Yeah. And I thought, man, this music still really, I have stuff I like now that's more modern, but that stuff really, floats my boat.
Right.
Is there anything in specific about the music that connects with you? Is it just like what is it about the deviation from the norm that you find yourself attracted to? Because there's a lot of, when you talk about pop, it's easy to see why someone would like it. That's why so many people do like it. Right. It's shiny, it's candy, it's easy to listen to. What is it about the deviation from that idea that you find enticing?
Well, all I can say is, like, The Cure is one of my favorite bands. This was a band that, I really, everything. And that was one of the things that Dave and I had in common when we first met was we both liked The Cure a lot. And we saw The Cure in 1981 at the Whiskey A Go-Go, their first West Coast tour. And so I think I am contrary enough that I like things that are different. I like things that other people don't like. So when The Cure released their record Head on the Door, and now all of a sudden everybody liked The Cure, I thought, wait a minute, this is my band. What do you mean? You can't like this. And so, that's what I try to, I don't know. That's what intrigues me the most, is things that are different. They're not what everybody else likes.
And I say this with a head full of shame that aside from their radio hits, the first time I heard Pictures was on a commercial, and I was like, what freaking song is this? Yeah. I have to go figure out who this band is. It sounds like that guy who sings that one song, but and I was like, this is something totally different. Yeah. And the fact that I came to it through a commercial is embarrassing to me, but yeah.
Right. Well, to show that Carol's consistent, Buzzcocks, Howard Devoto, he left, formed Magazine. Big fans of Magazine.
God. Yeah.
Another kind of what you'd call pop punk. It's not. But back then we never thought of labels. It's just like, we'd go out and buy every Magazine album that came out and all the Buzzcock stuff. And we just liked it because we liked the music.
Yeah.
It made us want to get up and do stuff and jump around and, sing really loud and yell stuff. Still today.
But the West, I'm assuming this is during the early or late 70s?
Well, yeah, it was 1978.
Yeah.
1970. I differed quite a bit from the British punk scene here on the West Coast. Am I correct in that?
Well, those
guys were British.
Oh, they
were British. Yeah. And
the Buzzcocks.
We met in 80.
We first met in 79. We went out in 80.
Right. And
did you guys meet at a show or
no,
through the scene?
No, through a mutual friend.
Yeah. The first time we went out, we saw The Selector.
Right. That was 1980.
1980, yeah.
And then we saw UK Squeeze.
But then we got married in 81, and then the summer of 81 was the famous summer of Kraftwerk and Gang of Four and The Cure and Killing Joke, all in a month.
All in a month, different shows. But before I met Carol, I was working part-time at a club doing graphic advertising stuff in Riverside. And so like all the punk bands, all the bands that were touring would kind of come through there and play at this little hole-in-the-wall club. So, I mean, I saw Ultravox on their first tour of the U.S.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'm in Torrance trying to find people to go see Ultravox with me, and nobody would go. And he's seen them out there in
like
Riverside.
Dead Kennedys, 999, Circle Jerks, all these Fear, all these bands, you know. And, that's our first year we got married. We also saw, it was Meat Puppets and
Black Flag.
And Black Flag
Yeah.
at this hole-in-the-wall restaurant thing in Riverside near the university. That was great.
Because now we're moving into some of the inspiration for alternative music. I think the Meat Puppets were often quoted as inspiration as the 90s kind of moved in.
Yeah, well, the Meat Puppets were basically these two brothers, and they, everything you read is like they were big acid heads. So they're just like dropping acid all the time and playing. And so if you listen to the earlier stuff, it's got this kind of, it's not punk, it's not rock, it's kind of Arizona desert freaked out stuff, There's a great book you can get.
Our Band Could Be Your Life.
Yeah. And read it. It's just filled with each chapter's like a different band. And the author just digs deep into how they started, where they went, why they went that way, and what happened to them. And it covers, bands like I think the Meat Puppets are in there.
The Meat Puppets, yeah.
What was the scene like here on the West Coast during that time period? Were the people pretty friendly? I mean, you go to a concert and it's like, was it you guys going out there celebrating this music, or did you guys have friends at every show? Like, was there a scene involved? Did you guys dress like, I don't know what the dress was like.
No, we did. We went to a store on Melrose called the Soap Plant and bought thin black jeans.
Thin black jeans.
Yeah. Everybody had to have those. And
we had Doc Martens.
We had Docs, and we had these wild cowboy shirts. Like one was turquoise with hot pink piping and, stuff like that. And I had white suede shoes.
And we kind of dressed that way if we went out. You know, it's just...
I had black and white striped pants.
But we've always
stuff
worn
like that.
flannel, too.
Yeah.
So we're old flannel wearers. We still wear flannel today.
Yeah.
Not because of Nirvana and the grunge thing.
No, it's because it's comfortable. I hate it when it's summer and I can't wear my flannel shirts anymore. Like, I wanted to wear one today, but I thought, no, it's too warm. So, But to answer your question, we would go to these shows with friends. We had a whole, circle of friends in Riverside that were all into this kind of music. And we would see, oh, God, this band is going to play. So we would all collect up in a car, drive into L.A., see the band. And so, as far as making friends with other people at the shows, not really.
Yeah.
Because we had, and sometimes the bands would come out to Riverside.
Yeah, because a good friend of ours he organized all the shows at UC Riverside.
Right.
And so, Jeff
Kazanoff,
we'd
shout out.
Yeah. So we'd do stuff with Jeff, and he'd be, you got us, got this band coming into the barn. You gotta
Wall
go
of
see
Voodoo,
it.
I
Wall
think.
of Voodoo is going to play. Have you ever heard
Or
of them?
the Fibonaccis.
Or the Fibonaccis.
Yeah.
You got to look up these bands. They're great. Wall of Voodoo still.
Yeah.
I don't know
and then
if they're around, but
back in the day, there was a band called the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo.
which became
And then they changed their name to just Oingo Boingo. And we saw the Residents.
we saw the Residents on Halloween.
Yeah.
And Wall of Voodoo was the opening act, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Well, I asked because there's kind of another scene that was circulating at the same time with like the hippie scene or the jam band scene, and I've been to a couple of those shows, and there was definitely a sense of family. Like I think they went a little bit maybe
definitely.
a step
for
deeper
sure. Like
about
Grateful Dead stuff and all
the
that.
Grateful Dead touring, and the scene was like everyone belongs here, and as long as you got good vibes, you come in the fold and you'll meet people. But it was a greater sense of heightened community, I think, in that scene. I was just wondering how that kind of compared to the punk scene.
Okay, so one time we went to see the band The Romantics. And, the Romantics were more of a mod band, like The Jam or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they wore these red leather suits and stuff like that. So we were watching them, and they played some song that I really liked. But it was, like a pop punk song, whatever, I don't know. So I went up to the front because I wanted to get close so I could dance. Well, there were people moshing. And I'm like, this is not the kind of band that
Yeah.
where there should be a mosh pit. So then I was, had to extract myself because
Right.
I didn't want to get.
And I don't want people to think that like Carol and I were like hardcore punkers.
No, not
because
at all.
we weren't. And I grew up in Riverside, and when we got married, Carol moved out to Riverside. But our circle of friends were basically people in bands, artists,
Students.
and students. And so we would spend most of our time either going to, openings. I was managing a co-op art gallery there part-time, and, with other people managing. We all kind of took our turns. And so our circle of friends was kind of like, artists, musicians, and bands that like and,
Oh, no, that band was called The.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's the other band.
Yeah.
It was just the.
Like they didn't care.
Yeah.
I care not for the English language. Let's do something trite.
Just the. And so we were just kind of like normal people, but we were just, this is what we were into. And that's what we loved to do, I mean, yeah, I will admit that when I was younger, I was into Jefferson Airplane, and I went through my whole progressive rock thing, and I still have all those albums. And then I kind of discovered one night, on TV, it's like, who is this guy? He's cutting himself up. Holy crap, Iggy Pop and the Stooges. I got to get into this. And I just discovered this whole other world of music. And that kind of just sent me on that way.
So you guys were like, you partook, but it didn't define you.
No.
Because I think there
No,
are
not really.
There are
No.
people that get into things so much because they like adhere to their identity. Oh, this is the thing and from my experience at least, those people can move from thing to thing, but every time they get into something, it's them for that time period. Does that
Right,
make sense?
right.
And as and those people, some of them at least, when they decide to have children, like some of them become like, I am a parent now, and nothing else.
No, that wasn't us.
That wasn't us.
We got our son this little play school. It was a Walkman basically, but it was play school, so you could make sure it didn't get too loud and stuff. And we put all our old mixtapes in there for him.
So he was like 2 listening to Gang of 4 and Devo
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Depeche Mode. He loved Depeche Mode.
And today, Peter's 30 and he's really into audio. He can't afford anything, but
No, but our proudest moment was when he came out. He bought this record online. He came out, Dad, can I use the system? And we're in the kitchen, like, oh my God, look at that.
but now he's,
Which he would be embarrassed. So, Peter, I hope you don't hear this.
And he loves music, and a lot of people in the industry know him. And he's got a pair of the original Zoo
Druids.
that Sean gave him because
Druids won?
Yeah.
Wow.
in this weird turquoise blue.
I actually just reviewed the 6s.
Yeah.
on
So
6th
these
gen
are like,
now.
I think this is probably the 3rd pair Sean ever made or something. I don't know. But he still has those in his room. And now he's into what's called.
It's a form of J-pop. The girls are
But
called
it's not what you
idols.
think.
It's not.
It's not J-pop.
It's like a mixture between J-pop and hardcore bands, and I don't know.
And Noise and kind of My Bloody Valentine. But then they start doing this J-pop dancing stuff to this music. And it's just this.
Some of it is actually really interesting.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, this whole band, their name is
Dots.
and everybody in the band is called Dot. And if you go find the album isn't Dot, it's just a series of dots. And there's 9 dots because there's or 6 dots because there's 6 of them. And it's like, who wrote the music? Dot. Who plays? Dot. What's your name? Dot. Well, what's her name? Dot. And it's just like, it's Japanese wackiness, times 10. Yeah.
I like anything that takes something to an extreme in the name of art.
Yeah.
When you fully invest yourself in a singular idea and the output is at least entertainment to some, hell, more power to you.
Right.
That's what I always
Yeah.
say. In fact, the interview we did two interviews ago, we talked about the idea of what it means to be an artist. Like, do you consider yourself, I think I would say of all people, definitely consider yourself to be an artist on some level. But what do you think about it when someone says, oh, I can't do that, I'm not an artist, or I'm not creative?
I think a lot of people who are creative don't realize it, and that's what makes their creativity so special, because they're not, oh, look at me, I'm an artist. look at these things I can do. They just do them, and they don't.
Yeah.
And to them, it's not creativity or artistic.
But that kind of, I don't want this to come off wrong, but there are artists who have a lot of, pretentiousness to them.
Sure.
And it's like, look at me, I'm an artist. Look at the way I dress. I'm so artistic, and I'm going to live this life of an art. And I'm like, yeah, and your art is really good, or your art is shit. What the heck? But, that's who they are. And I don't have any pretentious, I look at my stuff and it's like, people like it. If they don't, they don't. I liked it, and if I don't like it, I beat the crap out of it and throw it away. But
until it jumps back.
Until it jumps back, which stuff has. And then, but I don't necessarily feel like dress like an artist. I don't know. It's like, what should an artist be? What should they look like? I guess they should look like whatever that person looks like and is. And if you're making stuff, then, the world will decide if you're an artist. You're just making stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I admire the commitment to someone who wants to make a statement about their art in the way they dress.
Sure.
But in a way, here's the dynamic. Isn't that a way conforming to an idea when you're trying to? The thing about this style of dress that we talked about with these social groups earlier,
right.
is I find that there's opposing forces in the sense that you want to be different, but you're just fitting in with the rest of the group
who's all different.
Who's all different.
Yeah.
I guess that was more of a statement.
Yeah, I'm a nonconformist, and I'm meeting with all the other nonconformists tonight to talk about how we're so nonconformist.
Yeah, I still.
How should we have our meeting?
I think for me, I admire anyone who puts everything out there in a direction. To me, the bigger crime is to do like a life with no hills or valleys. To just kind of like live without an inspiration is more of a crime than someone committing to an idea and going all the way, like with that album you were talking about. Now, the pretentiousness on the other side is an unfortunate side effect. I think that sometimes in order to really put yourself out there, the pretentiousness is like a self-defense mechanism,
right?
Because you're like a raw wire. Right? Your art's a raw wire, and you got to like build yourself up somehow. And people just overdo that. Or they're really self-conscious and they tend to overdo it, and then it comes out as pretentiousness because they're like almost always trying to look. I'm up here on the pedestal and you're down there, because if I don't do that, then I'm going to be decimated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's people who are just that's who they are, and they're not putting on an act, and that's fine. And even if they're putting on an act, that's fine too, because then it's like your art is now being this person, being this I don't know, caricature.
Would you guys have you heard any good gear in the past 12 months?
Good gear.
So let me say this: before the ELAC thing became a thing, you were one of the first guys to be like, you got to check out this up and comer. His name is Andrew Jones. You may have heard.
Well,
of him.
we've known Andrew for years. We knew him when he was doing.
But you had
Pioneer
said to me,
stuff.
dude, this thing.
Yeah.
And that thing, the early release from him, those bookshelves.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They became a groundswell.
Yeah.
Any groundswell you kind of like sniffed out in the last couple of years?
No, not really.
No.
The reality is, Carol and I are spending more time doing stuff that's not audio related.
Shame on you.
I know. So it's kind of like, if I don't have to get gear to write about, I'm happy. We do have 3 things in house right now. We have a turntable that just came in, the Fernan Roby Montrose.
Oh, nice.
So we're still in the process of setting that up and getting it all.
That was the guy who I talked to Art about. Chris was the one who we had that discussion.
Yeah, Chris is a great guy. But I need to get that set up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then
the metal work on that guy is the table with the little brass.
Yeah, except ours is unique. The whole finish on it is unique. It turned out in a way that he wasn't really sure we'd like. And so we have...
But we love it.
It's a one of a kind. And it's really cool.
I mean, seriously, it is very cool.
And I didn't know. I thought the whole table was made out of cast iron, but it's not. It's recycled paper and a resin material.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
not the platter,
cool.
but the plinth is this recycled paper compressed in this resin-like material, and it ends up looks like steel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. And then what we have the PS Audio,
the PS Audio
P20 that came in a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I love the FedEx guy. I turn around, he's carrying this whole box. It's like 120 pounds.
Oh, man.
Just carrying it, walking in, and of course he gets to our front door and then trips on the front step, and the thing comes rolling out as he falls into the living room, and it rolls kind of, bump, bump. It was fine, but it just cracked me. I looked at the dude. It's like, how'd you do? That's 125 pounds. What the heck? And he's like, oh, I'm okay. Is it okay? I'm like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah.
And what else we have?
Well, you upgraded the stealth power.
Yeah, I have
conditioner.
the stealth conditioners I own
Yeah.
from
What are
Tweaky.
the speakers you guys run? I think
Still
you said you
the
had two-
Vandersteen.
It's still the Vandersteen, yeah.
And then we have the Antipodes CX that I haven't written
Oh,
about yet.
right.
Where do you land on the Wilson speakers? You like them?
I'm sorry, what?
Wilson speakers, Wilson audio speakers.
I'm sorry, what?
Look, I just noticed that a lot of stereophile reviewers have Wilson audio speakers.
I appreciate the newer Wilsons. The previous Wilsons for me were a little bit too analytical, too, I don't know, resolving. And
How do you compare them to the B and W
same thing.
Diamond series?
We're not big fans of like diamond tweeters and beryllium tweeters and stuff like that.
Oh, well, that's a statement. There's a lot of beryllium running around right now.
I know. For us, it tends to be a little bit too upfront.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that,
Which is kind of weird because we probably lost most of our hearing. So if I could really hear, I don't know.
What do you prefer in a tweeter assembly?
We like soft dome,
Yeah, I
Ribbon.
was going to say dome tweeters.
soft
yeah.
dome ribbons.
Oh, ribbon.
Ribbon.
Also.
That's what I was going to get at because there's a couple of ribbons. Andrew Jones actually just made one
Right,
that
right.
swapped it out for a ribbon.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had Apogee caliper signatures for
Which,
years.
oh my God, I loved those speakers.
And-
I cried when we got rid of them.
And then from those, we went to the Reimers,
Reimer.
which were Morel, soft dome. And then he swapped that out for ribbons.
Right.
What do you think about divorce stuff?
Love it.
Love divorce stuff.
Loved
Nice
it.
guy too.
Yeah.
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 Super nice. Harbeth.
Soft English.
It is definitely. It feels so British.
It is, but and all this stuff is fine. I don't, whether I like it or not is a moot point. There is an audience for everything.
Yeah.
There is the customer who's going to fall in love with anything and everything out there. We see that at shows. You walk into a room and it's like this guy's got these two monstrous whatever things sitting there and it's like, dude, no one's going to buy those. I know your mom bought a pair. But you're going to find some.
I was like so mean. I heard your mom likes these, better not get them.
But you know that he's got someone out there who's going to buy them, you know, and he's just got to find that person, and that's fine. And the other thing is, it's like Carol and I, we know enough now when we walk into shows. It's like, did you hear those speakers? It sounded amazing. I'm like, I don't know, really? How do you know those speakers sound amazing? Because it's hooked up to like 6 boxes of electronics and this, they're playing a record and all these cables and this power conditioner and room treatment. You're not hearing those speakers. You're hearing those speakers in conjunction to everything else in the room. So what do those speakers really sound like? I don't know. Now, if 20 different rooms are playing the same speakers with 20 different setups, you might get a feeling for what those speakers sound like. But for the most part, you heard the system in the room.
I would say that if they all had the same speakers, you would get a feel for the back end a little bit more.
True.
Sorry, the front end.
You get a feel for everything now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you could really start to separate everything from what it is. So we go into shows, and for the most part, it's like, it sounds good. Was it the speakers? Was it? I don't know what it was. It sounded good. It certainly wasn't that music that they're playing. That sounded like crap. But
should I bring a Buzzcocks track in, and just because I'm not
maybe that could be the
most,
exit. That
I'm
could be
not the most famous person out there, but sometimes they'll on the big systems
Well-
I'll be like, can I put this track on, and they'll oblige me. But those
Okay.
are the ones I'm going after. A big one.
At Rocky Mountain last year, we went in this room. The guy's name was Mark Sosa. I can't remember, Inuus or something like that.
yeah.
Mark Sosa is well pleased AV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we
and
went
he was doing Inuus.
Yeah, we went into his room, and it was the end of the show, and we were the only people in there. And he played a band for us that he likes. The band is called Turnstile. I think they're hardcore-ish. And so then he handed me the iPad and said, here, play what you want. Well, there's a German band that I like called the No Twist. So I put on the No Twist, and then I said, oh, and they have a song that, what I like about the No Twist is that they change, like each release is different. So they had one that was kind of hardcore. So I played that. And then I said, but this one is my favorite. So I ended up playing like 3 or 4 No Twist songs. Unbeknownst to me, these dudes had come in, sat down behind me, and they were young, like 18 or something.
18, early 20s.
So when I got up to hand him the iPad back, one of them, with the most genuine ever, said, "You're the coolest grandmother I've ever seen." And of course, I'm not a grandmother, but the thing is, I took it, I could be, I mean, my son is 30, but I took it as a compliment. Because everyone said, "Oh my God, did Dave punch him out?" And I said, "No, I thought it was a compliment."
It was.
You know?
And it was cool because it's like this guy's writing down the No Twist. And
Yeah.
we go into other
Right.
rooms. We've been in other rooms where Carol's played the No Twist, and literally they're like, "I'm adding that to my playlist."
Yeah.
And so
Because
I
it's
think
very well recorded
it's-
and it's unique
and
and
it's
different.
unique. But I mean, personally, I think you should take whatever you like into a show, because if that's what you want to hear, even if it's not well recorded, it's your music.
yeah.
You know, like you were saying earlier, you're listening to stuff like your wife, you commented earlier before we started doing this whole thing about, if you want to touch on that, it's more about the music and not necessarily the sound.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say her favorite track right now off the Bohemian. So she's still in the stage of discovery for a lot of older music, because she is kind of always pulled into pop,
Right.
and it happens. But she found this "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen. Are you guys familiar with
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Because it's off the soundtrack of the movie that came out.
Right.
And she's just playing it non-stop around the house. "Don't stop me now."
And you're but I do want to stop you now from playing this.
because I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually never heard that song before. And I've gone through Queen's, playlist sometimes. That one would be pretty far down
Right,
there. But
right.
I mean, what an amazing song.
Yeah.
That is the one that I'm bringing into the $1 Million Systems. But to comment on what you said earlier, here's the thing. For me, if part of my job at shows is to listen and people want to know what I hear. I like Zeppelin, but there's a lot of bad recordings of Zeppelin. And I was in a really high-end room, and they played Zeppelin, and I knew something wasn't right. And I had heard that system before, and I'm like, this is a little fuzzy. It's a little not distorted, but not the imaging, the focus was off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what was that? That sounded kind of weird. And he's like, oh, that guy brought in his own stick. So I'm just saying the curation that some of the guys bring help you better hear.
Right.
That you should bring the music that you love. But in terms of the function of my job, sometimes I like to hear the traditional stuff so I can get a better grip, especially if I'm familiar with it.
Right.
And the problem is specifically about Led Zeppelin, because for whatever reason, there's so much of that material out there, but there's so much of it that's not good. I can't figure out. I've heard it on vinyl. Good.
Right.
But I think the remaster is one of the many remasters. It's very blurry.
Yeah.
Well, but we run into the problem that last summer we were visiting someone and they said they wanted to show off their product. So I have a playlist of songs. So they start playing these songs. I'm like, okay, I don't connect with this music. It doesn't mean anything to me. And okay, well, now I'm going to play a live version of Keith Don't Go. And I said, oh, please don't. So I understand when you go to a show, they, like you said, they're choosing music to highlight and make the system sound good or look good, but if I can't connect to it, it doesn't mean
Right.
anything to me.
And the reality is it's what the vast majority of people at the show are familiar with, and it's what they're used to hearing. So like, can you play Keith Don't Go? Because I just heard that down the hall, and I want to hear it here now. And can you play, this Diana Krall? And, when they play Keith Don't Go or Diana Krall, we literally crawl out of the room.
And go.
But I think the shows, yes, obviously the shows are an opportunity for the manufacturer and or reviewer to get a sense of, I'm trying to sell my stuff, so I want to put on its best, make it sound the best with the best music I can get that sounds the best, that has the widest range that people want to come in and sit and listen. And as a reviewer, you're like, I need to write about and report on how great it sounded playing music that most people can react to when they understand when I'm writing about this, they get it too. On the other hand, there is the side of, but then you hear the same 30 songs year after year after year until a new song comes out or a couple tracks become popular. My point is that we've gone to shows for so long. I prefer just going like, okay, room's kind of empty. Can you play this? because this is what I like, and I really want to hear what I like on your system, because this is what I play at home, and this is what I know, or this is what Carol knows.
Yeah.
She'll want to play the Soft Moon. She'll want to play the No Twist.
There was something new the last show I went to, not Rocky Mountain, but I think it was at the show where everybody was playing it, and I thought, "Oh my God, this is dreadful." But I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that
was.
too. I don't remember it either, but
Yeah.
people were talking about, oh, it's the new song by so and so.
Yeah, and some rooms had YouTube videos of them. I don't know. It was
It's a female vocalist, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
Something like that, which is
terrible.
Yeah, we're kind of like not big fans of. Like the other day, where I'm playing music, for Carolyn, she's sitting on the couch doing something. I'm like, "What do you want to hear?" And she goes, "Anything where a woman's not singing."
Well, because he was playing Massive Attack, and I love Massive Attack, but it was that song where the lady.
Yeah, it's what's her name. I can't think of it.
Jeez.
And then it was a remix, so it's like, okay, now we're gonna
know.
hear it for the third time.
Yeah, now we're hearing it for the third time. Okay, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah,
I
so.
can't listen to her moaning anymore.
Right.
I actually took my wife to a Diana Krall concert, and the one thing she had to say was, "Oh, why do the instruments play so much?" Because there's like a jazz solo,
Right.
There's like a pop song or whatever, a listenable song, and then instrumental jams placed all around. And she's like, "Why aren't they singing more?" That was her only question.
Why isn't it a song? Now it's the drummer's turn. Now it's the bass player. But the next one, it's the bass player first, and then the drummer.
Dude, they totally mix it up.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I didn't see that coming.
The other thing that was really odd was that we were at the bowl, and I don't know if you guys been there, and there's pretty nice seats. And like you were saying about entitlement, there were just like a lot of really entitled people around us, and they started arguing. And it was like it was not a street fight. These were people that were like sipping on wine, and they were just like, "Oh,
Right.
so you shut up. No, you shut up."
And they're arguing over the vintages?
No, they were arguing over somebody was... I think the spark was that somebody was singing along with the song.
Oh.
And then somebody else was like, "Shut up." And that person was like, "Sir, do not talk to me such a way. I will slap you with a leather glove."
So in other words, you can come to the concert, just don't enjoy yourself.
That's right.
It's that advertisement, wealth.
We're too cool for that. You know that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I've been yelled at a concert before, but I don't actually do it anymore. I don't sing. I learned from my mistake because I have a very robust voice.
Right.
So even if I just kind of sing in my head, and I have to, I wear earplugs, so I'm like earplugs. I can't really tell how loud my voice is. And I just saw a person like turn around, and they were like, "Will you shut the fuck up?" And I was like, "I will from forever now on. I don't sing at concerts, just out of courtesy."
Yeah. Just text me when you're here, so I can't sing around you.
But I learned. I didn't realize that it was that loud. But, now I know. So I'll just hum it to myself.
Now we know. At the next show, I'm going to put on something and ask you to sing along with it.
I'll sing.
Is it Bryan or is it live?
Well, you may not know this about me, but I used to play in a band, and my claim to fame is I opened for the Blue Oyster Cult.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of the BOC
Really?
I
way
like
back
the
when.
BOC too. Yeah.
And they were very, very sober when I played with them.
Yeah.
It's really ironic because
So you started them drinking after? Okay.
an early friend of mine actually opened for them as well, and he's like, "Oh man, they had to be carted up on stage."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh really?" Because when I was there, they were all like through rehab, and in the rider it was like, "We see no booze,
Yeah.
no booze, no alcohol, no drugs backstage." We had to be like, we had to keep it
Right.
hidden.
Yeah.
So, but that was a big moment for me because I took my father backstage, and he always was like kind of iffy about the whole music thing, and it was like a sold out state theater.
Right.
And I go, and we both had the passes. I flat, and like 3 security guards like led us through, and he was like, "Oh," and we walk in. There were like 4 women, like they still were dressing like the last time Blue Oyster Cult was
Right.
at their peak, and he was like, "Whoa, this is like the big time."
Yeah.
It's like ladies who look like they're from the 70s.
I take it all back, Bryan. You should go for this.
Yeah.
Chase your dream.
And it was all downhill from there, but that was a great
Okay.
moment.
Oh,
That was a
well,
great moment.
that's all right.
And they were fun.
You peaked. You had a great time.
That's a pretty good peak. I don't think most people get that far.
No.
Big crowd. It was looking out. I realized why so many people wear sunglasses on stage because the bright lights in your face.
Right.
And we played in this state theater where they had told us beforehand if the music gets too loud, it's so old, pieces of the ceiling fall down
The
into
dust
the crowd.
and everything starts to come down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good times.
Oh, yeah.
Good times. And I also played for 0 people. We drove all the way out once.
Don't know them.
There's 0 people. One time we booked a gig, played in a bar, and there was no one in the audience.
Oh, wow.
And we still played.
Yeah. Well, that book that Carol prefaced earlier, there's a lot of that is the band's like, yeah, we toured, we lived in our van and, didn't bathe, but we knew people in each city where it's like we could stop and like go in and bathe real quick and do our laundry and then hit the road, for the next 4 days or whatever. But yeah, it's the life of a musician.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
It's fun. It was community driven. And the people were beautiful. I mean,
Do you
we were
still
doing cool
play?
stuff.
What do you play now? Nothing?
Believe it or not.
Were you the drummer, bass player, guitar?
When I first moved to Los Angeles, and I told you guys I lived down in Long Beach, I used to play Wednesday nights at the Old Dubliner down on the pier there. Acoustic guitar and sing like a human jukebox.
Wow, that's cool.
Like a slave. You put a coin in my ear, and I would play whatever you want to play.
Really?
Yeah, it was really fun. Really good times.
Okay. You should do open mic still then.
I don't play as much anymore.
Well,
it takes a lot of.
Could be fun. Just get up there and just 20 minutes of something.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna play at Explona one year. They were like, we play a couple tunes on one of the little stages, and I was like, it's a lot of time to rehearse. I haven't played in a while.
Don't rehearse.
Only if you come
This
up
is it.
and you come up and do a rap with me.
Yeah, right.
You can do like
I only rap at Christmas.
Informa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
No, me neither.
All right.
Anyways, this is not about me. It's about you guys. That part's getting cut.
No, that's fine. No, don't cut that.
Or is there anything you want to talk about?
I'm still building things. I'm still making things. I sold a piece to Matt Rotunda, who's opened up a new store.
Pitch Perfect Audio
Out
in
in
Palm Desert.
Palm Desert. So
And this is a table because I know you had a.
he bought a
installation
table,
huh?
and he really fell in love with it and wanted it. So we've been out there twice. It's going to be really.
It's going to be a cool store.
It's going to be such a cool store.
Worth the trip.
Worth the trip. Right on
El Paseo.
El Paseo, right?
Do you have any showings right now at any galleries? Because I know you had something going. Just a
I
while ago.
closed a show 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't have anything planned. I mean,
No.
doing shows is more of a pain in the ass than anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, and it's fun to do it, but it's not really fun to do it because you got to, like, drag everything there. You got to set it up. And if you're working with a gallery, it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that. I'm like, really? I don't want to show that one. No, that's the one I want. I'm like, okay, well, And, and then they put stuff where they kind of want it, and kind of, it's their show, but it's my show. But they're the ones doing the show. Yeah. So, in the end, I'd rather just sell stuff and not have to do shows.
If someone wants to buy your stuff, what's the website they should go to?
Dave R. Clark Designs?
Yes.
Dave R. Clark Design.
If it's not exactly right, you can just put that in the Google bar. I'm sure it'll come
Don't
up.
do Dave Clark Designs. That's an automotive guy.
It sounds like an automotive guy.
It's a
doesn't
big
it?
automotive
Dave
website.
Clark
Designs.
I think there's shoe, like Dave Clark shoes.
That
too.
I don't know. There's Clark shoes.
There's a Brian Hunter shoe designer.
Yeah.
Much more famous than me.
It's DaveRClarkDesigns.com. And
Bing, bing, bing.
if you go there, you can follow me on Instagram, and pretty much everything I've made is on that site.
So really, it looks like Daver Clark Designs.
Daver Clark.
Yeah.
Daver.
Daver.
We're going to
Daver.
start calling you Daver.
Daver. Everything I've ever done, going all the way back to the stuff I made back in the late 70s.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the 70s.
The
is
original.
You were doing tables in the 70s?
No.
I was doing wall constructions, industrial type stuff that would hang on the wall and stuff. And back in the late 70s. And in the 80s, I started doing more furniture. And then I kind of got away from that and took 29 years off. And now that we're retired, I'm kind of doing it again.
Do you have a favorite type of wood that you like to work with?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
MDF.
Yeah. Well, MDF is actually, see, a lot of people think MDF is particle board, but it's not. MDF is MDF. Particle board is particle board. It's two different types.
Yeah, even I know that.
Yeah. MDF is cool because you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can shape it. You can.
It makes a lot of dust, though.
But it makes a lot of dust. It's
When you cut it.
You
Oh
really
my
got to
God.
wear masks. Lately, I've been doing a lot of stuff with plywood and burning it.
I heard that sawdust can be explosive under the right conditions.
That I would not know.
Let's not figure it. Let's not find out.
Okay.
Right.
You know what else Chris said from Fern and Roby? He said that he was doing a speaker that was from a solid piece of wood. He was carving it out.
Yeah, I've
his
seen
floor
that.
standers, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unusual. You would think that maybe that's a common thing, but from my experience, it's very rare for it to have anything made out of a solid piece of wood.
Hollowed out.
Or especially when it's like the case work in aluminum. The Alorix, the G2
Right.
that they just brought out, that lid is solid aluminum, but very rare apparently
Right.
to carve things out from a solid piece.
Okay.
Okay, good.
That's enough of the self-promotion stuff.
Well, I thank you guys for coming up. Appreciate it. Good times.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, I've seen several painted lady butterflies outside the window,
nice.
Yeah.
as you mentioned.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.